are amazing. That is a Grand Lake toad. Whew.
Well, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whenever you are watching this. Welcome to episode 7, I believe, of our Bucks Island on tour. It's been fun. Hope you have caught our previous episodes and have enjoyed some of the conversations we've had with some of these pros and getting some behind-the-scenes look at what's going on at some of these tournaments. So, Dano, you're sitting there at Bucks. I'm sure waiting anxiously for your next trip down the road. While you haven't been on the road this past weekend, we did have a chance to get some inside scoop on the MLF tournament this past weekend. Why don't you tell me a little bit about what went on?
Well, it was the Redcrest Championship there. They had an expo at Tulsa. Had some pretty good attendance there, which anytime you go to Tulsa, you're going to get outdoor people coming to stuff like that. So that was good. But the big deal was the tournament itself, Redcrest. That's the Major League Fishing Bass Pro Tour Championship. It turned out to be one of the most intense fishing events that I've followed. Bobby Lane ends up winning it. With a last-minute 2-pounder, and Major League Fishing and the Bass Pro Tour rules, they have a minimum scoreable bass, and at Grand Lake, it was 2 pounds. And Bobby was at one point 13 pounds down. I believe it was 11 by the time the third period started, so he literally has 2.5 hours left in his day, and he's 11 pounds down, and he caught multiple fish, including a 6+ that was under a dock over some cables, and he fished that thing out. Turned out to be, put him within about 6 ounces of the lead.
Oh, my Lord. Oh, my Lord, guys. What a bass. Good Lord. I don't know how to get anywhere with her. Oh, my. If I could get my line here, maybe. All right, go be gentle. Are you kidding me? Just kidding, I got her! Woo! Are you kidding me? Look at this tank! Woo! Golly day! Woo! Unbelievable. Are you kidding me? That's a 6+. Bingo, dingo! I knew it!
6 pounds. 3 ounces, 6 pounds, 3 ounces.
Are you kidding me? Have we just hung us a hog? You talking about something that looks like me a little bit. You are amazing. That is a Grand Lake toad. Whew. Golly.
And with 2 minutes left, he catches a fish that he'd been throwing a Fritz-side 5 crankbait in the HD brown color. And then he explained he went in past this bush and he decided to try something different, and he pitched a jig at it and ends up catching one out of that tree and then starts running that pattern. And that's what put him on that pattern. And Bobby's a shallow water fisherman, grown up in Florida. He really does. He comes from one of what we call the first families of fishing. His brother, Chris Lane, has won the Bassmaster Classic, multiple other events. Bobby's won an Elite Series event himself. FLW wins on all levels. Elite Series at Kentucky Lake, and he's been there in chances at the Classic. And then he won the Major League Fishing World Championship, the General Tire World Championship, and now he's the Redcrest champion. But literally 2 minutes left in the day, final day. He catches a fish on the jig, swings it in the boat. And when they put it on the scales, it weighs 115. So it's not a scoreable fish at that point. Major League Fishing rules allow for 2 reweighs. And Bobby was cagey enough to ask, I need a reweigh. They reweigh it. It weighs 115. He gets one more. He says, reweigh it, please. And it hits 2 pounds, 1 ounce, and then settles at 2 pounds. And that puts him over the top by a pound something. and he ends up winning that tournament, $300,000.
Please score. That's over 2. It's over 2. No way. No way. Come on, we got to reweigh. 115. I saw it hit 2.
1 pound, 15 ounces, non-sport.
One more.
This will be your final weight. 2 pounds, 6 pounds.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. May I have another one, please?
I've known Bobby a long time. I've known his family. They are really, truly wonderful people. They're the kind of people that everybody gets behind. Bobby's one of those people. Chris is the same type of people that you just can't help but root for when they're doing well, because they're the first people there to congratulate you when you do well. That's the way they've always been. And so it was a great experience to watch that. And I actually went back and watched it again just because it was so exciting. And I thrilled for Bobby and his family. Really, really, really cool. And you can kind of hear from our interview earlier with him, you can kind of hear some of the emotion in his voice a little bit. It was really kind of cool.
Yeah, I was just sitting here thinking, listening to the interview while it was going down, particularly to hear from the context of somebody like you that's been so in the middle of the sport for so long. Even for a guy like me that hasn't been following for all that long, you can tell how big a deal it is just from the quiver in your voice. I enjoyed the interview a whole lot, and it was a lot of fun. And of course, he got into a little bit of detail of those decision-making processes that are so critical in tournament fishing. So why don't we roll that interview, and then we'll be right back.
All right. First of all, Bobby Lane, you come from one of the most accomplished families, one of the first families in bass fishing. Your brother Chris has been known as the champ with several wins. You've won. Now you add this exclamation point of a win with the 2022 Redcrest Championship in dramatic fashion. First of all, what's it feel like to be that champion?
I did an interview earlier, and the guy's like, "Oh, now that you got your feet on the ground," and I'm like, whoa, my feet aren't even close to being on the ground. Like, I'm still living that exact moment when it all went down. I'm still on cloud 9. It feels so nice to have that big win under my belt. I can take all those little emojis that have been hanging on my shoulders from the second places and the 2 ounces and the missed fish and the weighing in 4 fish one day, and all of those can be erased, man. And it's not that the monkey's off my back. It's that I know I can win a major now. That was the huge thing for me. I mean, I'm 48 years old this month. I'm not getting any younger. To have this title, I mean, I'm humbled and honored to be the Redcrest champion for sure.
Well, and see, that's one of the things, I've known you for a long time. We've worked around each other for a long time. You are one of the guys that people root for. And I'm talking about your competitors. Yeah, they want to beat you, but to see the crowd that was cheering for you, especially the way that it came down 11 pounds at the start of that third period, and you make a switch from throwing the Fritz side crankbaits to throwing a jig. I mean, what does it feel like to have so many people there ready to celebrate with you and be happy for you at that moment?
It means the world to me. It means that my parents raised me and my brothers and my sister right. They taught us about respect. They taught us about honesty and how to live your life. And to come out of that limo ride, that was absolutely the best thing that could have happened was being a limo ride for an hour, except they need to put a porta-john in those things, because golly, I had to use the bathroom like really bad. But anyways, to come out and feel like a rock star, to have the paparazzi there, man, it's life changing. I mean, that's what it is. Me and my wife Madeline, like you said, Dano, you guys have known us since day one when we couldn't pay our bills. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we were trying to figure out what to do. You had me, I'd pay you a little here, a little there. I mean, life in the fast lane isn't always easy. And when you, and I mean, we've established a beautiful career since. I got some of the most amazing sponsors on the planet, but you know, to come out of a victory like this, to have my brother be a Bassmaster Classic champion and me be a world champion and a Redcrest champion now, it just gives you that extra momentum to go forward, man. I'm very grateful to be here. I feel respected. All the text messages were well deserved, well earned. You know, it was like they're on my side, and for Major League to put that platform on like they did in Tulsa there. To have the fans there and to have the sponsors and the expo go on that went beyond belief. I mean, all that aside, it was the setting was perfect, and I feel like I said, honored, humbled for sure, and I felt the true respect from the anglers at the Champions Dinner that were there that night. Kevin Van Dam, Skeet Reese, the way those guys came up to me, wanted their pictures immediately with the trophy, told me how proud they were of me. I mean, that means the world to me. I mean, those are the guys that, you know, I was always the guy shaking their hands and shaking all those guys' hands and watching them. And they say, hey, congrats, nice tournament. It's what I got, you know. So being the champ is awesome. And to be respected, it means a lot to me.
Well, and that's the great thing about the camaraderie that gets built, especially in a league like Major League Fishing, where you guys have gone and forged this path, and you can't help but be happy for somebody. I know those guys would rather be having you take their picture with them with the trophy, but they're so happy for you. And it was evident in every video that came out, every photo that was published, it was evident of that. And I know. The last thing I want to know, though, as far as the personal stuff, before we really get into the fishing itself, what's the first thing that Madeline said to you when you guys got together after you got off the water?
Madeline's very first, I actually called her on the water, and I said, we did it. She said, I love you, and I could not be any more proud of you than I am right now. And that, you know, the first words out of my mouth when they said, Bobby, it's official, you're the Redcrest champion, were, I love you, Madeline, and kids. And you know, marriage is never easy, especially when the kids get older and they get involved. It you know, marriage is not easy, and we've had our bumps and turns down the road. I promise you, there's been times just like everybody else when it's like, you know, golly, this seems a whole lot better on the other side. But of course, you always hear the grass isn't greener, and neither one of us were ever thinking of making that switch over. We have 3 beautiful kids, and we're going to do whatever it takes to make them know that their parents are for them, loving them, and that we were going to figure out how to get along. And we did that over the years. And me being gone as long as it is, and my hat's off to her for taking care of those kids while I'm gone. I mean, it's not an easy road, but we have persevered. We have made it through, and you know, it's almost like a brand new life. The last couple of years have just been gratifying, and I love being married to Madeline, and I love the fact that her and all my kids were there to celebrate.
I think that would be the best part of the whole thing after being able to grab your hands on that trophy. I think that makes it all that much better. All right, let's turn to the fishing real quick. I know you were throwing a frit side. You're a shallow water guy. You're not limited by any means. You can do a little bit of everything. I've known you your whole career. You've won tournaments on ledges. You've won it flipping on grass. Doesn't surprise me that you had a 2-pronged approach here. But you were throwing a frit side initially, as you know, that flat-sided crankbait. What made you switch from that to pitching the jig?
You know, it's one of those tournaments that it kind of set up for Bobby Lane. I mean, really, it started out the week. I mean, 99% of the fish honestly came on the frit side by H.D. Brown. I wasn't going to even be a player in this game if I hadn't had that bait. But the lake was low. It was stable. It was cold. The water temp was 46 when I put the boat in the mornings. and they were smacking that Fritz side. Now, that being said, the first day of practice, I didn't catch a fish till 12 o'clock. Once I caught my first one, the pieces of the puzzle were starting to get put together. I started running the backs of all the creeks and looking for the last rock back there that had anywhere from 2 to 7 foot of water on it. And, man, you could almost call your shot. I then went around with my Lowrance electronics and just ran the creek, marked the spots that looked good. Didn't need to fish them because you don't want to catch too many in practice. And it worked perfectly, you know. And then we had that huge rain come through. I mean, I had a great practice. The huge rain came through, and it actually took a couple of days for that rain to settle into the Grand Lake of Cherokees there. It was weird. I've never seen that happen before in my life. I'm from Florida, and when it rains, it either fills up and then goes down, but it never takes 3 or 4 days to fill up. It's kind of crazy. But that water came up, and then as the week went on, every fish I caught was on the Fritz side 5 up until the championship day in the last hour. The water was stable. It was up 3 foot from when we started in practice, and everybody knew that. The Drowning Creek area that I was in stayed clear all week long. I caught maybe 65% of my fish out of there. I caught some in Duck Creek. I caught some in Horse Creek. I caught some in Honey Creek. I caught some up past Wolf Creek. I mean, I burnt that Phoenix Yamaha down every single day, except for the championship day. I told myself, you've got to stay where you think the most fish are because you can't go running around burning this much gas. Plus, it got really windy. So I put all my efforts into Drowning Creek, and in that last period, I came by a bush, and when you come by a bush, you always do something, and it's definitely not throw a crankbait in it. It flipped something in it. I grabbed the jig off my deck. I flipped the jig in there. I caught one. I lost one. Went to the next shallow dock that had a boat ramp behind it. Caught another 210 or something in about 1.5 foot of water. Immediately ran to the next little pocket in Drowning Creek all the way to the back. Caught a 6 and a 3. Ran back to where I had just come from. Caught another 215 or something. And then I told myself the whole time I'm going to go fish those shallow docks on the other side. It's the only thing left in Drowning Creek that I haven't hit that is shallow. So now kind of going from transition bank to where it is solid blue on my Lowrance electronics, making those key decisions at the end was what did it. But, you know, over the years, Dano, you know, you follow my career. I've lived and died shallow. I've done well deep. But I think it was set up, and I know to make a decision when you're in 8th place and you're 11, 12, 13 pounds back, you have to do something different. I have an hour to make a decision, and if my decision works, you can be the champion. And if it don't work, you know what? You had a top 10 and you get a pat on the back. And grace of God and a little luck, that scale went to 2 pounds. I'm the champ, man.
Well, and I got to give you credit too, because so many people go out and they go fishing and they don't know their rules. For you to know, I get 2 reweighs after this fish hits the scales. I got to give you credit there too. That's really veteran cagey type maneuvers, and it's not a maneuver; it's within the rules. But to know I got this, you know, that's cagey. And a lot of people would have just been, "Oh my gosh, it's short," but you had the forethought to go weigh it again, and that's I got to give you a lot of credit there too, because a lot of people would have just been disappointed and thrown the fish back.
Well, I want you to put yourself in my shoes just for a minute. You're down to 2 minutes and 30 seconds in the biggest tournament of in your life. You're 6 ounces behind the leader, which was either Jacob Wheeler or Luke Clausen at the time. I don't remember. I think Luke might have already caught that fish. I'm 6 ounces behind Jacob Wheeler at the time. I'm weighing that fish. I'm looking at the clock. I looked at the clock, and I had 2 minutes and 43 seconds left. I've got to get that Lowrance Ghost trolling motor out around that dock and over to the next dock to try to catch another fish. I knew I had enough time to reweigh that fish 2 more times and still be able to get over to the next dock and possibly try to catch one off that dock, which I made it to that next dock and still had enough time to fish it. So the reweigh was going to happen no matter what in Bobby Lane's mind. And you're right, that is in the rules. You get 3 reweighs, and if that fish does not weigh, It gets released immediately into the water. And, you know, think about it. You got maybe the winning fish. Maybe you don't have the winning fish in your hands. If you weigh it and it weighs, say, 115 and you throw it away, I still get to that next dock and I don't get a bite. I weigh it on the third reweigh and it goes 2-1, 2 even lock. And it was life-changing. It doesn't take that long to reweigh, but that's the rules of Major League, you know, and I love the format. I love the way that happened. And when it's meant to be, Dano, you can't stop it. That's all I can say, because normally 9 times out of 10, that fish never goes and locks on the 2-pound mark. It might look 2 pounds and then drop to 115 and they have to call it. If it locks in for a second or two, depending on the official, it's more than fair. But that locked and stayed, and it was arms went up, and
I know.
The champion was crowned, man. And then that's when I lost it. I completely lost it. I got it. It was an awesome victory. And when you're in that position, in I think it's called an adrenaline rush. I tell you what, whatever it was, I won another one, because I think I can handle it a little better next time, because it was pretty cool at the ending for sure.
You handled it perfectly. The thing from a guy who covers this sport, and it's hard for me, you know, I really I try to keep my professionalism in check. You know, I try to keep, but to have lived this life with so many of you guys over the years, to actually get to see that real emotion come out when it happens. I'll admit, there's days when I'm sitting on a podium in a big tournament and I'm taking pictures and I can't see through the viewfinder. And I've been there to watch you get really close at Lake Hartwell. And while, you know, you're happy for the guy that won, you know the pain for the guy that doesn't. And so I'm sitting there watching that going, wow, that is as real as I've ever seen out of any professional angler. The moment the official name was called, you drop to your knees and you just go, oh my gosh, it's like the biggest relief you've ever had in your life. And it was a 2-minute span that probably felt like 2 years. But it was amazing.
Oh, you're making me live in it again, man, and I haven't teared up since the boat, I promise, but I could almost tear up now just picturing myself in that moment, and it's nice to hear you say that I handled it perfectly, but I couldn't agree with you more. The way that you get to see real time a major championship go down in the books in the last 2.5 minutes, and you catch the angler's response, it's as good as a basketball game, and the guy hits it from half court and he shoots it with a half a second to go. It's as good as a golfer birdieing the last hole of the Masters from 26 feet away to win the Masters tournament, or the Super Bowl. They throw a Hail Mary in the last 3 seconds and they score the touchdown to win. I mean, that's the way I feel that win was. And to live it real time makes it even just as sweet as it gets.
Well, I can guarantee you that there were thousands of people like I was glued to that screen, especially for that last 15 minutes of that tournament, being able to sit there and watch that go down, and the palpable tension across my chest and my back, knowing all the players, respecting all the players. I guarantee you it was there to see the decisions made, to understand what's going through the minds of those guys, of you. It was a moment that is one of the true great moments in our sport. It is a different type of experience to be able to see it real time, like you said. There's the relief, watching Jason Christie at the Classic this year and that tension that builds up that whole drive. But it's a different experience to see it happen in the moment. It was a great moment, and I am proud of you. I'm proud for your whole family. I know what that means to you guys, and I'm grateful that you spent some time with us here today on Bucks Island on Tour.
Well, guys, thanks so much for having me. I appreciate all the kind words, Dano. I've always thought the world of you and everybody you associate with. And I am 3 hours or 2.5 hours from my hometown of Lakeland. I cannot wait to get this trophy out of the truck and celebrate with my wife and girls that flew back the next morning. It is very wonderful having my son with me all the way back, but I'm grateful and I'm honored, and I'm humble about it, man. My dad used to call me Bobby Humble years ago, and he said, "You're going to be something great one day." And I always thought it was a professional bass fisherman. I never had an idea, never had a clue that it was going to be the Redcrest champion. So thank you. I appreciate you guys, and I look forward to talking to you soon.
Yep. Well, like I said, you're going to have to rename that road that you and your family have lived on all those years to Champion Lane, because there's a bunch of them in that family.
Well, and hey, I got Bobby Jr. next to me. He's 14 years old, and you know already that Cal Lane, my brother's son, is fishing the pro circuits, and he has never been so pumped up. And he said, "Man, they call me Uncle Goof," and he said, "Uncle Goof, I got some big shoes to fill." I said, "Cal, you do, but we're here for you. But you better get to catching them." So we got an awesome family, and we couldn't be more proud to have the lane train rolling down the road, man. We're all super excited about this for sure.
Well, drive safe on the rest of the way home, and I will talk to you again soon.
Thank you guys so much.
All right, guys. So there you hear a lot of emotion in that interview. They definitely touched on some fishing and recap what was the tackle that he was using?
So it was a Fritz Side 5 crankbait, which is it's a flat-sided crankbait with a kind of a coffin lip. It's actually a really good crankbait. I've caught quite a few fish on it myself. And then it was a flipping jig with a trailer on it that and there's times that those trailers will make a difference. Most of these guys nowadays, especially Bobby, he's on the Berkeley pro staff. They'll pick up a max scent trailer, the chunk type of a deal. Probably power bait 5/16, 5/8, 3/2 ounce, that kind of deal. But that's what he ends up flipping. And he was just hitting as many targets as he can in that last little bit. And I can only imagine, because even when I'm fishing these small tournaments here around the house, when you get down to where there's a clock ticking where I've got to make that run back to go to a weigh-in, theirs is even more finite because they're on that clock. And when that boat official starts counting down from 2 minutes, you got 2 minutes left, minute 50 seconds, minute 30. I've seen these guys when I was on the water covering Major League Fishing, when I was taking pictures during the original Cup events. I've seen the mental breaks happen from that clock ticking, and I can only imagine what it's like when you've put one in the boat and you just have to wait. And then you have to wait for a little bit of time afterwards to make sure it doesn't refresh again and somebody caught one after. And I touched on that a little bit with him in the interview. And you could see in that interview, in that video of him, you could see that tension, and then you could see that release of it too. And it's a really, really, really great moment. Like I said, I've known Bobby and his family for a long time. I respect what he does. He goes at it hard. He goes at it right. He hates to lose, but he's always there to congratulate. He's a true professional. And I'm really, really happy for him and his family.
Well, that's cool. And guys, definitely, it sounds like I highly encourage you to go head over to MLF and go track down that video. I'm sure that won't be hard to find on the internet. And we'll of course link up to MLF. And as always, we'll pull a collection together on our website with some of the tackle, your flat-sided crankbaits and some of the jigs and stuff that we've got that are similar, or if not the same stuff that we have to offer. So go check those out. But Dan, where's the next stop for you?
Leave Wednesday for Chickamauga for the Elite Series up there. be gone for that week and then home again. But
right.
We've got the city tournament this Saturday here at Neely Henry. I'll be participating in that a little bit. Looking forward to fishing the home puddle for a little bit here, but really this whole week has been about Redcrest, as it should be.
Gotcha. All right, guys. Well, that's another episode in the books, and hope you enjoyed it. We certainly have fun putting these together, and look forward to seeing you on the next one.